As you may well know, I'm a massive fan of cozy farming sim games, and as you'll hear, it's pretty likely that you are too. My obsession dates back to roughly 2005 or 2006, when I got my hands on a copy of Harvest Moon DS. I remember holding the game box in the back of the car, studying it in detail and being so eager to get home and put the cartridge in my DS for the first time. I put so many hours into this game and was completely in love with it from day one. Mining for ores, growing crops, raising animals and romancing NPCs. Eventually my game file corrupted and I was heartbroken, and honestly, I'm not over it to this day. But looking into the issue, it seems to be pretty common with that particular game, unfortunately. Luckily, I visited my family while down on a trip to UK Tattoo Fest the other week. I managed to recover my old DS's, and what I believe was my second copy of Harvest Moon DS. I'm in love all over again. For those of you that aren't aware of the Harvest Moon series, yes, from what I've said already, I'm sorry I have to cover it, but you'll probably think of Stardew Valley, a game that can be a little controversial in the OG Harvest Moon community, sometimes painted as a rip-off game. It's a fact that the original Harvest Moon series was the basis for Stardew's single developer, Concerned Ape, or rather Eric Barone's game. Barone used the Harvest Moon series as a basis for his own passion project, using it to help him learn game development. However, Stardew does build a lot on Harvest Moon, and I personally believe it's given the farming sim genre a whole new breath of life. For example, Barone was frustrated with the fact that Harvest Moon titles typically end after a set number of in-game years, and so in his new development, the game was intended to be uncapped. Hey, you all know I love Stardew. But let's move on, enough of it for now. Although, before we do move on, we've got a bit of name clarification to do. You may also have seen the Story of Seasons games. These are the same series as the original Harvest Moons. There are also new Harvest Moon games, called Harvest Moon, but these are different. Let me explain. The original Harvest Moon games were created by Yasuhiro Wada and developed by Victor Interactive Software, which would eventually be acquired by Marvelous Entertainment in 2003, and are now known as Marvelous Inc. Over the period between 1996 to 2013, Natsume provided English translations for the games and oversaw their distribution. However, in 2014, Marvelous Inc. ceased working with Natsume, and their work was instead handed over to Xseed Games, their American publisher. However, as Natsume owned the English variant of the Harvest Moon name, they decided to keep its rights in the split. This forced the original creators to make the change to Story of Seasons, meaning any games released from 2007 onwards will be Natsume rather than the original Marvelous Inc. Story of Seasons games, however, while different in name, will come from the original creators of Harvest Moon, and therefore often contain consistent characters from the original series. Okay, so now that we're up to speed, let's dive into some of the more interesting aspects of the original games. First up, let's take a look at the highly overrated, highly treasured building material, golden lumber. I feel like I wouldn't want to build a bird shed from gold infused wood, stone, whatever it is. Surely that's just a target for people to come and chip bits off of, but hey, what do I know? For this one, we're looking to Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town. When I was initially reading about this, I did see it mentioned for Harvest Moon DS, but I couldn't find any evidence to back it up. It turns out that the villagers who seemingly have no interest in visiting your farm might actually be keeping an eye on your land after all. If you build a fence from golden lumber, it irks them ever so slightly. As a kid / young teen, I used to trawl through the guides on forums like Yushin no Tain, and so was happy to make a return to the site when writing this video. We've got a post from Bunny Boo L who describes this occurrence with the following. So I bought golden lumber to use for fences since lumber breaks down over time, and I ran out of small rocks to use. I completely forget that villagers come by and yell at you every day until you get rid of it, and they call you moneybags instead of your real name. Why so jealous, villagers? Golden lumber isn't that bad. Why should they hate you so much for having it? Shouldn't they be praising you for having enough money to efficiently run a farm? Gots has to have some special skills and money to even get his hands on it. Any theories you had? Or maybe how long you kept the lumber before their yelling got old? I mean, I guess, like, solid blocks lined up to make your carrot area look aesthetic is pretty extra, but hey, who's it harming? Next up on our tour we have killing off a sweet elderly lady. Oh. Yep, we're talking about killing Ellen in Harvest Moon 64 by talking to her. You heard me right. Ellen, the first character with the ability to die. Great achievement there, girl. Is Ellie a romanceful NPC's grandmother? From the second year of the game, if Ellen is sat outside of her home in a rocking chair, a conversation with the player can go one of two ways. If Ellen's rocking chair is swinging, all is good, life is wonderful, talk away. Ellen will be a-okay. However, if she pauses swinging and you opt to talk to her, in that moment, talking to her will cause her to die. This typically makes Ellie tougher to romance from, the grief. So yeah, moving swiftly on to another great one. What about mysterious Japanese yokai spirit spouse? Oh, we got you, boo. Obviously, marrying a kappa is an option. Okay, so if you're unsure as to exactly what a kappa is, I personally think the most well-known pop culture kappa is Kappen from the Animal Crossing series, but I'm sure I'm wrong there. He is based on the kappa, which is a Japanese spirit of folklore, or a yokai as they're referred to in Japan. Kappa have an affinity for cucumbers, sumo wrestling, and removing a mythical organ from the booties of their human victims. Kappa are also known to kidnap children, so there's that too. Sounds like a definite Tinder match, right? Well, Harvest Moon sure has you here. In Friends of Mineral Town, if the player throws enough cucumbers at a peculiar green creature that lived in the lake, you can actually form an intimate relationship with the being. I mean, the kappa sadly can't live with you to scare off cold callers, but your scaly hubby will randomly show up to tell you that you're pregnant with their child, with no warning. Fabulous! Our next stop is Harvest Moon DS Cute, the female player character version of my personal favourite game, Harvest Moon DS. I'd love to get my hands on a copy of this one. Specifically, we're looking to the character Skye. Skye is a charming character with a habit of stealing, using his unique ability, Maiden Chick Beam. In Skye's Purple Heart event, in which he attempts to rummage through the contents of the blue bar, you're hit by his power, freezing you on the spot and causing you to be unable to move, petrified like a victim of Medusa or something. This is pretty damn creepy. Besides the weird mythological basilisk mutant thing, a seedy guy with the power to immobilize unsuspecting women at will. Yeah. Skye mentions that the effect will wear off in an hour or so, but I'm not convinced by this one. Okay, so next up is Harvest Moon 3. Harvest Moon 3 allows the player to select either a male or female character to play the game as. However, you might not expect your choice here to actually impact the game, but weirdly, it does. Now, this is where things go downhill. Let's take a look at this entry here from harvestmoon.fandom.com. The gender-based roles on the farm define the tools the player can use. Male players have farming tools that level with use, but no access to tools related to the care of animals, like the brush or milker. They must rely on their female partners to gather milk and wool. While female players' tools will never level up, they have full control over the animals and have ability to buy shampoo to care for sheep. Yay. Male players cannot buy shampoo. It's a harsh life. And their partners will not have it either. Female players must also buy machinery to make butter, cheese, yarn and sweaters, while the male player can teach his partner the ability to make these items by hand, with books from the mall. However, he has no control over what the female partner will make, or when. Now, these gender roles, while stereotypical and outdated, aren't necessarily the main point of contention in this game. As we know, a major goal of the Harvest Moon games, and many of its predecessors, is marrying a romanceable NPC, yet in this particular game, the outcome varies greatly based on your gender. If you're playing as a male, after marriage you're able to have kids and continue playing the game. However, if you're married as a female, the game ends. Yeah, I'll just leave that one there. Another pretty interesting / weird fact to mention about Harvest Moon 3 is that when creating a player character, the user is asked to choose their character's blood type. Please let me know if there are any other games that do this. I've never heard of one before. Although pretty creepy, or at least a little bit weird at first glimpse, there's actually a pretty cool reason behind this. In Japan, it's believed that a person's blood type links with their personality, like kind of how star signs determine what a person will be like, I guess. Although cool, this feature doesn't actually appear to have any impact on gameplay. It's believed it is a feature left out in the final game. Now, let's head in a more Annabelle direction. I'm talking the creepy ass haunted doll, but actually, if she was like a bear. Okay, let's backtrack. Hear me out. In A Wonderful Life, there's a stuffed bear that can be bought from travelling seller Van in chapter 3 of the game. This stuffed bear is called Jar-chan. Once in your home, the bear appears to be sentient, with a series of set events that include him stealing from your fridge and walking around on his own, late at night. Concerningly, if the player is alone in their child's room, the bear will appear to breathe, providing it's not being looked at, in which case, the animation will cease. Horrifying. Ah, the Witch Princess. Okay, I have a special place in my heart for this character. She's the first character you meet in my first Harvest Moon game, Harvest Moon DS after all. Although, okay, this one's a bit concerning for the animal lovers out there, which I'm betting is all of us. In Harvest Moon DS, the Witch Princess's affection levels towards the player requires them to kill their animals. Like I said, I'm replaying this one at the moment, and this is making me rethink my romancing decisions. Good old Celia. Although I was always torn between Celia and Nami as a kid, but that's irrelevant. Anyway, to reach the Purple Heart event of the Witch Princess, you need to have killed at least 50 of your own animals. I mean, she also requires you to pass out like 100 times of exhaustion, litter 10 times, and poison the village by stirring something deadly into the Harvest Festival stew. All of this before agreeing to marriage. I've got my work cut out. Now, I've said it time and time again, but in case you're new here, I'm a major sucker for the little extras in games. The details that go above and beyond what's expected, little Easter eggs to uncover things that keep the games fresh, things that might pop up years later. One example of this is the Doghouse Battle of Harvest Moon DS. The Doghouse Battle is a hidden minigame that the player can initiate by leaning against their doghouse at exactly 4:40 AM, while holding down the A button. I knew that Doghouse had a purpose after all. The player sees an underground fight club where they battle members of the town until they're worthy of the animal sacrifice queen herself, the Witch Princess. More street fighting and cozy farming sims, please. Ah, Woofio. As the name suggests, Woofio is a strange dog character, rather an empty, romanceable dog suit. Yep, Woofio appears in, well, okay, this is a newer title under the Story of Seasons name, and I was planning to stick to the original Harvest Moon titles here. But it's Story of Seasons, Trio of Towns, and this one was too bizarre not to include. If you romance Woofio, you will eventually learn that he was once a man, cursed by a witch, losing his humanity and becoming more animal than human. That's all fine and heart-wrenching, but I don't know how I feel about the fact you can birth the child of a sentient, empty furry costume. Okay, I'm kind of speechless now, so let's leave it there for today. I think we all need time to process. Now, I'm sure there's loads more to cover here, but these are the main points that I really wanted to do today. Let me know what your favourite facts are about the series and drop them down in the comments. If you've not played a Harvest Moon game, I'd deeply recommend them. Personally, I prefer some of the older ones to the more recent Story of Seasons, as I feel they're a bit rinse and repeat nowadays, but there is another one coming out this year which I will be buying and I have super high hopes for. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, then please consider dropping a like/subscribe down below because it would really help me out. But until next time, goodbye for now.